I swear, every single night, every single candidate has given themselves something to build on. Some moment, some high point, some glimpse of the best of what they have to offer. Not every candidate is going to be seen as winning every debate, but every candidate has at least one winning moment in every debate. A moment that gives their supporters reason to cheer and maybe send another $5. A moment that gives someone who might not be supporting them yet to turn their head, maybe pay that person some mind, even though they hadn't been thinking about him before. And I know that pundits and newspaper headlines, have to give these global takes on who won the debate or who was flat or who made an impression or who didn't. And I get that. I mean, I'm part of that ecosystem too. But I also recognize that more than ever before, the media environment and the political environment that we're in right now is such that a good, well-run campaign doesn't need to count on the headline writers or the cable news hosts or the big overview stories on the network news about who's winning and everybody else who isn't winning, right? More than ever before, in the kind of media landscape that we're in right now, what a candidate needs to move ahead, to expand his or her campaign, to raise money, to make you see them, even if you have not been willing to see them before. More than anything, what candidates need are good moments. Capturable, replicable, tweetable moments that they can build on. And we have seen this already from every single one of these candidates. We think of these debates in terms of winners and losers, but being on the debate stage means you win at this point of the campaign, and I can prove it. We have done this on this show once before. We did it when we'd only had one debate. Now we've got 2 debates under our belts, and as we are heading into this crucial third one, which is going to have a wildly different cast of characters, it appears, right? This is probably going to be half the candidates that we saw in the first 2. I mean, I will prove it to you that being on that stage has already given every one of them a chance to do themselves some good, all of them. I mean, that's why making this third debate is so priceless. Here, I will show you. Look, the hat. All right, randomly, drawing at random. I will show you any candidate from the list. I'll pick one, and I will prove it to you. Bernie Sanders. All right, Senator Sanders. Let's start with him in the first debate. In the first debate, Senator Sanders knew he was going to get these questions about Republicans framing the whole Democratic Party as socialists, right? As the general election being a contest between Donald Trump and socialism. And the problem with that framing, when you put it to Bernie Sanders, is that that sort of framing only works in a bad way if the person you're asking it to is uncomfortable with the concept or feels defensive about the concept, or if the Republican framing on this issue is working on that person somehow. When instead you put that question to Bernie Sanders, what you get is a candidate who absolutely positively knows who he is, who isn't defensive about it at all, who lives quite comfortably in his own skin and has for decades, and who will take your epithet and turn it around to make it into the best parts of his own pitch for his own campaign.
What is your response to those who say nominating a socialist would re-elect Donald Trump?
Well, I think the responses that the last poll I saw had us 10 points ahead of Donald Trump, because the American people understand that Trump is a phony, that Trump is a pathological liar and a racist, and that he lied to the American people during his campaign. He said he was going to stand up for working families. Well, President Trump, you're not standing up for working families when you try to throw 32 million people off the health care that they have, and that 83% of your tax benefits go to the top 1%. That's how we beat Trump. We expose him for the fraud that he is.
And that's what I do with your socialism question. Senator Bernie Sanders in the first debate, having, I think, his best moment of that debate, ripping up this idea that the socialism word is some sort of kryptonite against him and kryptonite against the Democratic Party. That was Bernie Sanders' first debate. In the second debate, I think Senator Sanders' standout moment was a very different interaction. It was when he basically turned into a human shredder of the poor candidate out there on the wings who made an ill-considered decision that he would try to wander into and insert himself into Senator Sanders' own very well-worn wheelhouse. Senator Sanders, knows who he is. He runs on his own stuff. He doesn't throw a lot of lightning bolts at other candidates when he doesn't need to. But if he does throw a lightning bolt at you, it tends to explode when he does that.
can you guarantee those union members that the benefits under Medicare for All will be as good as the benefits that their representatives, their union reps, fought hard to negotiate?
Well, two things. They will be better because Medicare for All is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs. For senior citizens, it will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all,
you don't know that,
second
Bernie.
of all,
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill. And second of all, many of our union brothers and sisters, nobody more pro-union than me up here, are now paying high deductibles and co-payments. And when we do Medicare for All, instead of having the company putting money into health care, they can get decent wage increases, which they're not getting today.
Actually, kudos to CNN for keeping the split screen up there for for Tim Ryan being on the receiving end of that, just so you could see him pop the gills once, hold breath for 40 seconds, pop the gills one more time, and then go back down. It was just, that was it. So, Senator Bernie Sanders, night one, night two in the debates. I'll show you, I'll prove it to you. Okay. Andrew Yang. All right, Andrew Yang, entrepreneur, tech guy. Andrew Yang will definitely be in the next debate. He is running a campaign that does not sound like any of the rest of the campaigns, and that is on purpose. That means that the pundits and the national press still haven't quite figured out what to do with him. But meanwhile, he is definitely connecting with donors. He's got a slam bang social media presence that runs circles around a lot of the more traditional candidates. He pretty easily made it into this next debate. It wasn't like he was cutting it real close. And in each of the debates so far, it's been interesting to watch. Andrew Yang, they add up the amount of time that each of the candidates has spoken. And Andrew Yang is always the shortest or close to the shortest. He doesn't take up a ton of time, but he doesn't need to, because he's not saying the same kind of stuff that all the other candidates are saying. And when he talks, it lands, in part because he's saying things that are unique.
I am proof that our democracy still works. Democrats and Americans around the country have one question for their nominee, and that is who can beat Donald Trump in 2020? That is the right question. And the right candidate to beat Donald Trump will be solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected, and will have a vision of a trickle-up economy that is already drawing thousands of disaffected Trump voters, conservatives, independents, and libertarians, as well as Democrats and progressives. I am that candidate. I can build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump. It is not left. It is not right. It is forward. And that is where I'll take the country in 2020.
Neither forward. That's Andrew Yang in debate one. And at that point, admit it, he's really introducing himself to the country. Obviously, he has enough supporters, and enough donors to get himself into that first debate. But for the broader audience watching at home, the millions of people watching at home, they're like, who's this guy, Andrew Yang? Well, that's his out-of-the-gate introduction, night one. Strong, different, right? In Detroit, in debate two, Andrew Yang, even stronger performance. He not only got some big applause in the room, he also, again, talked about stuff, including the economy, in ways that just didn't sound like a single other candidate on the stage, but it didn't make him sound weird. It just set him apart, and it worked in the room.
If you go to a factory here in Michigan, you will not find wall-to-wall immigrants. You will find wall-to-wall robots and machines. Immigrants are being scapegoated for issues they have nothing to do with in our economy.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
The problem is that so many people feel like the economy has left them behind. What we have to do is we have to say, look, there's record high GDP and stock market prices. You know what else are at record highs? Suicides, drug overdoses, depression, anxiety. It's gotten so bad that American life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years. And I like to talk about my wife who's at home with our 2 boys right now, one of whom is autistic. What does her work count at in today's economy? 0, and we know that's the opposite of the truth. We know that her work is among the most challenging and vital.
Entrepreneur, tech guy Andrew Yang, one of the Democratic presidential candidates, he has made the cut for the third debate coming up. I showed you those 2 clips from his first debate, one from his first debate, one from his second debate, to show you how much good he has done himself at his debate performances thus far. I can prove to you that all of the candidates who are going to be on the debate stage have done themselves good in their previous appearances. That's part of why this next debate is so important. We've got more ahead. Stay with us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.